Foundation for greatness. I've been blessed to have been one of the either the founding members or to start several things in my life, and to be on that ground floor, that foundation, that bottom level, and whether it was starting ministries at church or as a project manager, starting projects at work, or starting a weight class of our football organization, and of course starting my business and the different entities that I run as CEO and so forth. I've been on that ground floor to be one of the contributing and key partners to laying the foundation. And what I've learned in that process is laying that foundation is integral because you are laying the foundation for success or failure. And ultimately, if you do it right, the foundation for greatness. So I got a couple things I want to talk about when we talk about whether it's starting something or whether it's rebuilding something, if you will. When you're on that ground level, you have to build that solid foundation. And it's funny, we learned that as little kids with the story of the three little pigs. When you build it with solid materials, when you have that strong foundation, you can succeed and you can be sustained. Otherwise, you'll fail. So the first thing that's important when you look at laying the foundation, that solid ground, is your plan. Your plan has to be concrete. It has to be rock solid. You have to cover all bases. As the saying goes, dot all I's, cross all T's, and all that good stuff. You got to make sure that as you plan, you're thinking about everything that can happen successfully and even some things that can happen on the negative side of things. We always want to plan for success, but we recognize that there are some things that are going to happen that we have to deal with. Now, some will be unforeseen. There's no way to plan for them, and I'll deal with that in my third and final point. But at this point, we got to recognize that there are some things that can happen that we have to plan for, and they be able to have a contingency plan to deal with. So let's say you're starting a nonprofit, and you recognize that part of your growth and part of your success is contingent upon funding from other sources. Now, you may target a handful of sources to be your primary donors, your primary grants, and so forth. But you got to recognize that if they don't come through, you have to have contingency plans, other areas, other sources, maybe crowdfunding, whatever way you can do it to obtain the proper funding you need to be successful. So that's planning for things that may happen that you have to work around. So your plan is significant. That's the first point. The second point is your resources. You have to have solid resources. Whenever you're laying the foundation for anything, your resources are important. Whether it's physical resources such as your materials, equipment, or the most important resource, the human resources, the personnel. Who are your people that you're going to have on your team? I talked about that and check your crew. Look at your crew, look at your team. Identify those winners, the people that can carry out your vision and help you be successful. Make sure you're bringing along the proper people with the proper knowledge, the proper talent, and the work ethic to carry out the vision and to lay that foundation for your greatness. Which leads to my third and final point. My third and final point is, and this is the one you need to follow me on this one, you got to catch this, because some may think it's sort of an oxymoron or maybe think it's sort of contrasting. But the third point is this: you have to be stern yet flexible. Now, some's thinking, wait a minute, stern yet flexible? Most people that are stern are rigid and they aren't flexible. They can't move. But what I mean by that is you have to be stern in terms of following your principles, outlining your plan, putting your program forward to be successful. But then you also have to be flexible because, as I mentioned, things are going to happen that you can't plan for. Unforeseen things may happen. And when they do happen, you have to be able to adapt. You can't be so focused with tunnel vision on just one way to do things that you'll never be successful. Maybe you wanted to bring somebody on your team, but they can't join your team. You have to be flexible enough to go grab someone else to fill that gap, to fill that void, and to help you be successful. As I said before, maybe the funding sources don't come through for your program or for your project. Well, you got to be able to go out and get others. You have to be flexible enough to move with those changes and to adapt to things and ultimately overcome. Starting something is a great thing. As I said, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a book, whether it's a team, a company, no matter what it is, it's an exciting time to be on a foundation and at that ground floor of anything you're starting. But remember, if you don't plan properly to succeed, you will be planning to fail. Make sure your plan is solid. Make sure you have the right resources around you. And of course, be flexible enough to adapt to any changes that may try to prohibit you from being successful.